This week I'm going to lead you through a short cat-cow flow. So we'll be playing with flexion and extension in the spine, so playing with rounded shapes and extended kind of back-bending shape in the spine. Let's get started. For this practice, you don't necessarily need any props. You might have a block or two next to your mat, or if you need any cushioning under the knees, because knowing the cat-cow movement, we are going to spend quite a lot of time on the knees. So if you want something soft under the knees, have a blanket or some cushions there for you. We're going to start the practice in child's pose. So starting with that flexion in the spine. And of course, you can choose how much of that rounded shape you want to have in your child's pose. Sometimes if we bring the legs closer together, that might create a bit more of a rounded shape in the spine. Or you might also choose to open the legs wider apart and kind of lean your spine between the legs, and that might give a more neutral or even slightly extended shape for your spine. So see which one you would like to start with today. And already here, you might cushion your knees, or you might have some support under the pelvis. If you want, you can bring hands under the head. This is just our starting point where we're going to take a few breaths, focusing on the breath before we start to move. And in this child's pose, I suggest sending a few breaths towards the back side of your body. Breathing towards the back of the ribs or the back side of the rib cage. And just exploring that space that we have on the back side. We are often quite focused on breathing to the chest, breathing to the belly, which refer to the front side of the body. But we have a lot of space on the back side for us to breathe into. And I would encourage you to focus on that back space as we go through the practice. Exploring movement, exploring space along the back side of your spine and back side of the ribs. Let's take another breath in and out in this child's pose. And then slowly from that child's pose, start to look for your way onto hands and knees, so onto all fours. And this will be our base for the cat-cows. So again, if cushioning under the knees is needed, this would be a good time to find that soft padding under the knees. And we're going to bring hands about under the shoulders, knees about under the hips, and you decide if you want to have your toes tucked under or not. We're going to do this short flow 3 times. We'll go first round a bit slower, and then we'll speed it up, but not too much. And from here, we're going to start with cat-cows. So with your next breath, round your spine up towards the ceiling. This is the cat rounding its spine. You can bring chin towards the chest, tuck the tailbone under. And then with the next breath, open your chest. And this is the cow pose. There's an extension, there's a back bend in the spine. You might look forward or even higher up if that feels good. Same again, round your spine. And this could be an exhalation, this could be an inhalation, or both. There's no right or wrong way to breathe. And with the next breath, opening the chest, again finding that cow pose, and release the tops of the shoulders away from your ears. One more. Round the spine and push the floor away with your hands and your knees. Head comes down. And with the next breath, open the chest. And then we're going to round the spine into child's pose. And lift hands onto fingertips, cupcake hands. Head can drop down. Breathe in and out. Release the tops of the shoulders. And then just slightly press the tops of the toes on the mat. Now roll your spine up so you come into a seat, like a hero seat. And from there, as you inhale, lift up onto knees, reach the arms up, open the chest. Breathing into that front space. Next breath, bring yourself back down into that seat, arms come down. And step hands behind the pelvis, lean on to the hands. You can either stay here, open the chest, or continue higher up, lifting your pelvis higher up. So lifting the buttocks away from the feet and press the tops of the toes onto the mat. How does the back side of the body feel here? In this quite deep extension, back bend. And then with the next breath, slowly release the pelvis down. And we're going to walk the hands forward, back onto hands and knees, and another cat-cow here. Breathe in or out, rounding the spine into that cat pose. And with the next breath, open the chest, the cow pose. Keep the core engaged. Same again, rounding the spine, tuck the tail slightly under, and open the chest or the spine moving the opposite way. You can lift the tailbone up. Once more. So we always have these 3 cat-cows. You can bring the chin towards the chest. And open the chest, cow pose. Then find a neutral spine and step hands forward, shift the weight forward onto kneeling plank. Or if you want, you can also tuck the toes under, lift the knees off the mat, you decide. Next exhalation, slowly come all the way down onto your chest and belly. You can release the toes again. As you inhale, open the chest away from the mat. Baby Cobra pose. Breathe here a couple of times. Draw the elbows gently in towards your sides. How does it feel to breathe here? How does the back side of the body feel here? Again, press the tops of the toes just slightly onto the mat, keeping that connection between the feet and the mat. Next breath, slowly release back down. And then lift onto hands and knees, tuck the toes under, and then lift all the way up into downward dog. You can move a bit from one hand to the other, from one foot to the other. Head can drop down. Breathe in and out. Just allowing that opening through the backs of the legs. And that's one full round of our cat-cow flow. Now that you know what we're going to do, we're going to go just a bit faster. So first, bring your knees onto the mat. You can adjust where the hands and knees are and open the palms, fingers active. We started from the cat-cows. 3 rounds. Round your spine. Open the back side of the spine. And then open the chest, moving into the cow. Back bend. Keep the core engaged. And next breath again, round the spine. Head comes down. And next breath, opening the chest. Elbows could be a bit bent. That might give you more space to move. Once more, rounding your spine. You can opening even the back side of the neck. And then opening the chest. Cow pose. Now you can release the toes, lean into child's pose, lift hands onto fingertips, lean the head down, cupcake hands, just resting the wrists, allowing the wrists to turn the other way around. Breathe in and out. Press the tops of the toes on the mat. Now through the core, lift your back up. So you come into that hero seat. And from there, as you inhale, lift up onto knees, lengthen arms up. You could bring palms together or hands behind the head, opening the chest. Just a subtle back bend. And then exhale, release down, bring the pelvis down and step hands behind your pelvis. We're going to open the chest. So inhale, either just lift the chest up or continue higher up, lifting the pelvis up. And this is actually the baby camel pose. It's a back bend, it's an also strong opening at the fronts of the legs. And exhale, release the pelvis down. Walk hands in front of you, back onto all fours, back into cat-cows, rounding the spine. Nice counter pose for the back bend. And then open the chest. And toes could be tucked under. Some people like that more. Again, rounding the spine with your breath. And then into that back bend. And the breath might change. There's no fixed breath pattern. Just make sure you are breathing. Once more, rounding the spine. And once more, that back bend, the cow pose. Then find that neutral spine. Either kneeling plank, step hands a bit further forward, or lift your knees off the mat into a full plank. Hands about under your shoulders. Exhale, we're going to go slowly down onto the chest, onto the belly. And from there, inhale, lift into a small cobra. Or this time round, if you want to go higher up, you might gently press more down through the arms. Maybe you want to lift into a higher cobra. Exploring that back bend. Where do you find space for the breath now? And then release back down. Come up onto hands and knees. Tuck the toes under and lift into downward dog. And again, couple of breaths. You can move the feet. You can walk from one hand to the other. And we're going to do one more round of this cat-cow flow. When you're ready, come down onto your hands and knees. Again, you can adjust the palms. You can tuck the toes under or release the toes. And then we're going to round the back into the cat. The whole spine from head down to the pelvis. And then open the chest. Keep fingers active, like you're slightly gripping the mat with the fingertips. This supports the wrists. And again, rounding the spine. So we don't want to put too much pressure onto the wrists. And open the chest. Cow pose. And once more here, cat rounding its spine. And opening the chest into the cow. Tailbone lifting up. And then lean the pelvis down into child's pose. Lift hands onto fingertips. Again, this allows your wrists to bend the other way. Keeps the hands active. Try to soften the tops of the shoulders. Breathe towards the back once more, in and out. And again, press the tops of the toes down. Lift up through the core onto your knees. Inhale, lifting up, reaching arms up. And you could bring palms together, maybe hands behind the head, bending the elbows, open the chest. A small back bend, more just an opening across the chest. And exhale, release down, bring the arms down once more behind the pelvis and lifting up through the chest or lifting the pelvis up as well into that baby camel. And at no point there should be pain in the back, so keep controlling with the core, keep supporting the spine. And exhale, lower the pelvis down and walk hands in front of you. Last cat-cows. So once more, start by rounding the spine. There's a lot of rounding and arching through the spine, opening the chest. So here, when you go into back bend, keep lifting the belly in away from the mat. And rounding into the cat. Push the floor, the mat away. And opening the chest. One more cat-cow. Remember, keep the neck, the head moving together with the rest of the spine. One more cow, that back bend, opening the chest. And then a neutral spine in the center. And your plank, either knees on the mat or extend the legs, lift the knees off the mat. And exhale down onto your chest, onto your belly. And then release the toes and open your chest away from the mat. That one more cobra. Again, see how your back is doing. Do you want to stay low down? Do you want to lift higher up? See if you could keep hugging the elbows in towards the sides. And exhale, release the chest down. Lift onto hands and knees and tuck the toes under all the way up into downward facing dog. Then rock the head from side to side. Keep lifting the pelvis up, knees could be bent here. Couple of breaths in and out. Our last downward facing dog. And then exhale, slowly bring the knees back down. And we're going to go where we started from, child's pose. So lean the pelvis down and now release the hands. So it could be that you turn the palms up towards the ceiling. You might want to bring arms next to your sides. That might be a nice release in the shoulders. And focus on the breath. Again, observe those sensations along the back side of your body. Could we send the breaths to the back of the rib cage, back of the lungs, just visualizing it. Can you soften your neck? And again, remember you can open the legs wider apart or bring legs closer together if needed. We'll take another 5 to 10 breaths here. If child's pose doesn't feel good, you can also come lie down on the belly. Extend the legs behind you. Feel free to come lying down on the chest, on the belly, if that feels better now. Knowing that this will be the last pose of our practice, where do you want to spend another 5-ish breaths? And let your belly soften. Let the front of the hips to soften. And with a couple more breaths, notice how your spine, the back,
the front feels now. Then a lot of rounding and arching along the spine. And then if you feel that you want to continue your practice or take a longer resting pose, you're very welcome to do so. But since this is a shorter practice, if you want to end the practice now together, from your child's pose or from lying down on the belly, bring yourself up into a seat if it's now time for you to end the practice. And you can bring palms together in front of the chest. Couple of breaths here, in and out. As always, at the end of the practice, thank yourself for taking some time to explore the body and move the body, move your breath today. I thank you very much for joining in, for sharing the practice. Namaste. Thank you. Good. Thank you very much for joining in. I hope that you enjoyed the practice. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and also share the video with someone who might benefit from the video, the practice as well. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I always love to hear how you felt after the practice. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.